Welcome back to the Explainer, everyone. Today we're actually going to skip over those massive, polished final releases, and instead we're taking a magnifying glass to a single, incredibly specific milestone in the VoltAgent project. We're looking at GitHub commit E6BD554. Now, if you follow open source development at all, you already know that some commits, they don't just fix minor bugs, right? They literally define a project's entire legal standing and its public face. And honestly, that is exactly what we've got in front of us today. So let's dive right in and decode how this one specific commit really sets the stage for the entire future of VoltAgent. Okay, Section 1. The VoltAgent Commit, setting the foundation. Take a look at this number right here, 97. Now, in the grand scheme of software architecture, where code bases can easily spiral into the millions of lines, 97 might seem, well, kind of tiny. But on this main branch, these 97-line additions, they represent a sudden, totally foundational shift for VoltAgent. This isn't just some slow, incremental tweak we're looking at. No, it's a structural drop that practically redefines the project's boundaries overnight. It's actually a perfect reminder for us that a massive impact doesn't always require massive amounts of code.
So if we look at the exact footprint of this commit from just a couple of days ago, the developer, Nakio Zomen, only actually touched 2 files. Just 97 lines added, and literally 1 single line deleted. That's the whole shebang. 1 parent commit left behind, and boom, a whole new future laid out. As you'll see in a second, the true weight of this commit isn't about the sheer volume of the files changed. It's entirely about what those files are and what they immediately broadcast to the outside world.
Moving right along to Section 2, Decoding the MIT license. Opening the code.
So as you likely know, the MIT license is basically the master key for real-world adoption. By dropping in this highly permissive software license, VoltAgent is officially granting extensive rights to literally any person who gets a copy of the software and its associated docs. We're talking anyone from a solo indie developer in their basement to a massive Fortune 500 company. Legally speaking, adding this specific text is like flipping a massive switch. It completely transforms the VoltAgent project from a private, closed-off sandbox into a public utility that anybody can leverage.
And this list right here just brilliantly illustrates what permissive actually means in practice. Just look at this web of incredible freedoms granted straight out of the source text, entirely without restriction. I mean, you can use the software. You can copy it, modify it to fit your exact needs, or even merge it into your own proprietary closed-source systems. You can publish it, distribute it, sublicense it, and get this. Yes, you can even sell copies of it. By pushing this single commit, the VoltAgent team is effectively handing the keys to the kingdom straight over to the global developer community.
But, in the legal world, there's always a catch, right? To actually utilize all those amazing freedoms we just talked about, you do have to follow one major condition. It says, the above copyright notice and this permission notice shall be included in all copies or substantial portions of the software. It's basically the standard open source trade-off. You get total unrestricted freedom to build, modify, and profit, provided you just keep the paperwork intact and, give credit where credit is due.
Which brings us to Section 3, Disclaimers and Liability, the catch. This setup perfectly visualizes the grand bargain of these open source ecosystems. On one side, like we just saw, you have limitless user freedom. You can do practically whatever you want with VoltAgent. But then, look really closely at the other side. In exchange for all that freedom, there is an absolute, zero-compromise, lack of warranty or liability retained by the software authors. Basically, the creators are handing you their hard work for free, but they absolutely 100% refuse to take the blame if something goes horribly wrong when you try to deploy it.
Now, have you ever noticed how the disclaimer sections of these licenses are always just screaming at you in all capital letters? Well, that is actually a very deliberate legal strategy to make absolutely sure the user can't turn around and claim they didn't see it. If we read directly from the commit text, it states, the software is provided as is, without warranty of any kind, express or implied. The strict as-is nature of this release is absolutely paramount. The developers are coming right out and saying, look, here's our code, we really hope it helps you out, but you are using this entirely at your own risk. Let's go ahead and translate some of this dense legalese into the actual, specific liabilities the authors are actively shielding themselves from. So they explicitly disclaim warranties of mercantility and fitness for a particular purpose. That basically means if you use this code for a very specific task and it totally fails, well, that's entirely on you. They also disclaim non-infringement. Ultimately, whether you try to sue them in contract, tort, or invent some completely new, creative way to complain, they legally cannot be held liable for any claim or damages. It is an ironclad shield.
and it protects the creators so they can just keep innovating without having to constantly look over their shoulders for crippling lawsuits. All right, Section 4, a new visual identity, updating the README. So let's look at the second file changed. Here is the exact HTML snippet that Naked Tuzman added to the README file. And what is immediately striking to me here is the sheer scale of it. Notice that width attribute right there? 1500. They are hooking in a massive 1500 pixel wide official logo straight from their own content delivery network at cdn.voltagent.dev. So this isn't just some tiny little thumbnail tucked away in the corner of the repo. No, this is a giant, proud banner being hoisted right at the very top of their project page. This specific 76-line addition totally transforms the public face of the official repository. Before this commit, the page was basically bare. But now, armed with all these design details and this highly polished, centrally hosted official logo, it establishes a really professional, visually striking brand identity. It immediately signals to anyone visiting that, hey, VoltAgent is a serious, well-maintained project, and the team cares deeply about how it's presented to the world.
Now, as we start to wrap up this analysis, I do want to point out a really surprising, almost hidden little detail tucked right at the very top of that newly added MIT license text. Look really closely at the copyright year. It says Copyright C 2026 VoltAgent. But wait, this commit was pushed well before the year 2026. So this futuristic timestamp is just incredibly fascinating, right? Is it a highly confident projection of the project's longevity? Is it just a simple clerical typo? Or is it maybe a deliberate legal strategy, firmly planting a flag in the future?
I think this just brilliantly illustrates the forward momentum of open source development. And honestly, it leaves us with a really provocative final question. If this foundational commit, with its super permissive MIT license and its massive visual rebranding, is being set today, what exactly is VoltAgent going to look like, and what will it have achieved by the time that 2026 copyright actually arrives? It is definitely a thrilling thought to chew on. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me for this explainer today. Keep learning, keep exploring, and I'll catch you next time.